G'day, g'day, g'day. Welcome to Aussievision. It's Craig here, and I'm joined by three of my lovely co-contributors. We have Fleur, Hayley, and Liv with us this evening. How are you guys?
Hi.
Hi, good.
Good as, bruh.
Good.
It's great to be back together. We've had a week off after we had a quieter week with national finals last week, but this week we are well back into the swing of it. We have a massive weekend coming up, and we've just had a massive 24 hours where it feels like every country in Europe dropped their song at once. Guys, just to kick us off this evening, we've had 5 new songs drop in the last 24 hours. Some of them have gotten a lot of buzz both before and after the releases. So I'm curious to know, what's your favorite of the songs that we've heard from the internal selections in the last 24 hours? Liv?
I am absolutely obsessed with the Netherlands Just Euro Papa. It's just everything I need, like the cultural heritage of hardstyle coming to the stage of Eurovision, and the music video is just insane. I absolutely love it.
That one's got the Dutchies really excited, I think. What about you, Hayley?
I love the video too, yes, Liv, but I actually really enjoy Cyprus.
We love Celia. She's our Australian homegirl. So
Yeah,
we're
she
pleased to
is.
see her make it. And if our song's bad, then I'll be happy to back her and Malma.
Exactly.
Very impressed with that one. What about you, Fleur?
Switzerland, it's giving me everything. Well, it has everything. I think every genre is there except for maybe country and western.
I am obsessed with Switzerland as well. It has the swagger, I think, to perhaps win the whole thing. Whether it will probably depends on a lot of factors that are going to happen in the next couple of months. But I am so impressed by it, and I was so surprised by it. So excited to see where that one goes. But that's not all, guys. We have another 2 songs being released as a result of national finals coming up this weekend. That is Serbia and Iceland. And we also have the final Melfest lineup, with all the songs finally being released, or at least clips thereof, in the last day or so. So those are the 3 national finals we're going to talk about this evening. Let's jump straight into Serbia, because I think that's been the big talking point this week. We've had 2 semi-finals over the last couple of days. Guys, there's a lot of songs in this one. It comes late in the season. I think sometimes it passes people by. So let's start off with a sort of round table. What's your favorite song out of all of these? We've seen a lot of them, but which one's standing out to you personally? Which one's speaking to you? Not necessarily talking about competitiveness. Liv.
For me, that's Teodora and Raimonda all over. It's something delicate and it's quintessentially Serbian, also mesmerizing. The atmosphere of the staging is really beautiful. It's kind of a bit of a lullaby kind of feeling to it, but not a boring one, a really nice one. And in the lineup that we have at Eurovision this year, I just think it would really stand out. I'm kind of actually begging for something a little bit more low key like this from the females at Eurovision this year. So I actually think it would be a really solid choice to stand out amongst the crowd.
I am on my knees begging and pleading for a few more ballads this year. And I agree. I think we've gone from 2022, where you had like Maru and Amanda Tenfjord and quite a few others doing that sort of thing, to nothing this year. And Theodora really fits that vibe perfectly, I think. Fleur, what's your favorite out of this lineup?
My favorite one would have to be Zoria with her song, which I cannot pronounce because my Serbo-Croatian is pretty much non-existent. But I think you all know which one I'm talking about, the one with the mirrors and Oh My Wig.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that one's another great ballad. I think that one has a bit more drama to it, and perhaps
Yeah.
I like the subtlety of Theodora a little bit more, but that one really stands out as well. What about you, Hayley?
Yeah, I'm the same as Fleur. Zoya, she's the black on the black on the black and the drama, and she's beautiful, and those notes that she hits. I thought it was amazing when I was listening to it just on the Spotify playlist, but watching the staging, while it needs a bit of work, there's a lot there to work with, and I'm just in love with that song.
Yeah, I have to say that. Flo, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the mystery, the drama. It's what Serbia has been serving lately.
Yeah.
They've gone another level with art, and this is another example of it.
Yeah, I think it's also a little bit camp, like with the wig and like
Yeah.
she pulls that dress on at the end. Like it's a little bit like it's almost pushing Casita Vest a little bit, I think, in places. It's sort of that sort of ballad. I'm not objecting to that, but I think it's got the right sort of mix of like genuine emotion and silliness, I think, to do quite well on a
Yeah.
Eurovision setting. But I actually want to talk about Mama Constructor. I've heard mixed reports on this one, but I am actually really impressed with this. I think some people are a bit confused by the live performance because it is not just inspired by like what she was doing in 2022. It is the same thing. But when you go and look at the lyrics, this is actually a song about, you know, the struggle of an artist to come up with anything new. I wanted to sort of read the first couple of lyrics. She starts off saying, "Doctor, what's wrong with me? I just want some new innovations. What's wrong with me? I just want something new." And like, obviously the irony there is that she's presenting exactly the same staging. So I think it's funny. I think it's like clever. I think it's brilliant. I don't think they should send it to Eurovision because I think it's asking a lot of a sort of casual audience. It asks you to know who she is. It asks you to remember her last performance. And then it asks you to sort of understand this fairly wordy text in Serbian to try and follow what's going on. But I am absolutely obsessed with this. I think it's just as good as her last entry. And I think it will certainly be going onto my playlist. I just don't think it's perhaps ready for well, I don't think it's something that will work as well, perhaps in a pan-European setting. But let's have a think about competitiveness. We've seen the two semi-finals; they've both been quite impressive, but I think the field is starting to narrow as we approach Sunday. So, Hayley, who do you actually see taking out the crown at the end of the day?
I hate being asked this question because I never know the right answer. Zoya, I'm going to say that because it is just so dramatic, and the vocals on this woman are just insane. I really do believe that this is what is going to win on Sunday morning.
I had that thought, but the funny thing about that one is I think I've actually had that thought before because Zordia has actually participated before. She was there in 2022 and she had another big ballad. And you know who beat her then? Constructor.
Yep.
So a part of me wonders if we might see history repeat there. But I agree, it would be a very deserving winner if it does happen. Fleur, who do you see taking it out on Sunday?
Yeah, at first I thought it was going to be Theodora, but looking at that running order, she's on very early and in a mix of she's right after what was her name?
Zapreskica?
Breskovica, yeah, which is another ballad. So I don't know if it's going to get lost there. So running order, I think, is going to hurt her. So I would go with what Hayley says with Zoria, and Constructor is my dark horse because I think she's got a great position there. She's probably the best of the more competitive songs in that last section.
But yeah, I agree. Teodora is on quite early. I think she's got a bit of name pull in Serbia. I believe she's
Right.
had a couple of, reasonably well results. She had that Mimi one that went around on the internet a lot.
Okay, yeah.
But so I think she might be okay even from an early slot. But I agree, Breskovic is bringing this really big number, and it's possible that she might get swamped going on around there. Liv, who do you see getting it?
I think Resvicha has got this one. On a purely musical level, it's a really beautiful song and kind of itching to have something really Balkan at Eurovision from that kind of point of view, and it would have a point of difference. I don't think she has the best female vocals of this, but it does have some very questionable iconography and lyrics, which turn me off it personally, but I could understand if this potentially did win.
Yeah, without wanting to set off like an internet firestorm, I went into the YouTube comments on Breakfast's song, and let's just say I recommend not doing that because there's some quite intense ones if you dig far enough down on YouTube there. But I agree, it's quite a dramatic number. I think she's been getting dramatically more YouTube views than anyone else, from what I can see, which might have something to do with those comments, but you never know. But I think the performance itself, agree, dramatic. She performs it well. It's got the sort of ethnic instruments and the right sort of bop. I could see this being the one that takes it at the end of the day. I think her biggest competition is probably Teodora, but both of them are on quite early, as Fleur notes. So there is possibly space. I think this isn't over by any stretch. And I don't actually feel confident calling a winner just yet. I think there is definitely a few that could take it. Just one more thought on Serbia before we move on to our next final. There are a lot of acts here, and I think we've focused on a fairly small core of them. So just a chance, what's one other act that you really liked from this year's Serbia national final? Hayley, you go first.
Look, I'm a Philip Ballas fan. Last year's song, I've become so obsessed with that. I reckon I nearly listen to that song daily. That's the song this year is. It kind of feels like it's been based on that to try to get the same result. But that staging, this morning, my jaw dropped. It was not great. That sort of staging of almost a boardroom situation. I really believe that is why he didn't make it through to the final, because it was nothing like anyone else was doing, and it just didn't work. I'm really sad about it, because I
Yeah.
really do enjoy this song too.
Yeah, I think it was a good song, and we salute you out onto King of Serbia, Philip. But I agree, the staging was sort of giving me like university law school negotiating competition. And I don't know if that's something I want to be reminded of as someone who has finally moved on from university law school.
A bit triggering.
Yes, there were some flashbacks there, I'm afraid. Fleur, what's one of act you'd like to highlight out of this lineup?
Yeah, known as Hayley's Aussievision twin. So yes, I'm really sad that Philip did not qualify. But another act I do like is Zaina
Yes.
Nabolia. I
Mhm.
quite like that one. I know she's been there a couple of times before, and I think she also lost a constructor, and last year too, I think.
Poor thing.
Yeah, I really like this. I don't think it's going to win, but look, I'm going to keep listening to it. It's a great song.
It feels a little bit like Festivalia Kungus to me, this one. Like I can sort
Yeah.
of see the backing dancers. It reminds me a little bit of like there was one with all the fire at Festivalia Kungus a couple of years ago,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah, I
really
know the
giving
one.
me that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I also quite enjoy this. I also don't think it's going to win, but I think it's really fun, and I'm glad it's there. What about you, Liv?
I really like the song Luna Park, and I don't know if that's because I'm a bit biased, considering there is a very famous amusement place called Luna Park in Melbourne. And looking at the lyrics, it kind of reads like it is about the Luna Park here in Melbourne. So if it is, then it's a nice little connection there. But I like it. It's sort of indie rock, kind of fun. It's a
Yeah.
bit different in the lineup.
Yeah, there's so many shout outs to the Australians in this year's Serbian national final. It feels like they can coming up, and one of the hosts, I believe, has an Australian connection. So such an interesting thing to just come up over and over. My shout out is going to be to Justina with her song Bedem. It is another ballad, and there are a few sort of balcony ballads here. I don't think this is the best ballad in it, but I think it's really beautiful and it's really gentle, and it sort of takes you to a quiet, calm place, which I haven't heard much. There's a lot of loudness in this year's Eurovision National Finals, and it's rare to come across a song which sort of just is comfortable being within itself and sort of taking you to another place. So really glad it's there. Please come back next year, and I'd be delighted to see you take it out another year. Or if she does win, I won't be mad. That's enough about Serbia, guys. We also have another massive national final coming up on Sunday, and that is Songvakeppnin in Iceland. Now, there's been two semi-finals. We've narrowed it down from a field of 10 to a field of 5. But really, this has felt like a field of 1, I think, since the acts were announced. And that's because even before the full list came out, the Icelandic broadcaster announced that participating in this year's national final would be Bashar Murad. Bashar is a Palestinian artist who's previously collaborated with Icelandic Eurovision entrant Hattari on a track, and this is his first time coming to try out for Songvakeppnin on his own. Now, there's been a lot of words have been spilled about Bashar online about his song, but let's how let's start off and think about what's this song like? How well do you see it doing? What are your thoughts? Liv, let's kick us off here.
Well, what I liked about this initially is that there's a lot of upbeat female tunes and a lot of novelty male acts this year. And this is a bit of a refreshing, palate cleansing kind of mid tempo banger. So something a bit different. And it has the enough yeehaw in it to capture people who want that, but not so much to put off people who really don't want that. So I think
Yeah.
it just fits in that nice little mid zone.
Yeah, I agree. It really sort of contrasts with everything else. It feels like there's a lot of I don't want to say Schlager mums, because not all of them are mums, but there's a lot of Schlager going on in this year's Icelandic national final, and he really does have a point of difference there, I think. Hayley, what do you think of Bashar's song?
Look, yeah, I'll admit I haven't listened to the Iceland songs too much this year, but he does have a point of difference, because I find the three females may cancel each other out. They're all to me quite similar. And yeah, I like his song as well. I do think he will win, actually.
There's a groove to it. What about you, Fleur?
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't think it's a great year for Songvakeppnin. Said the same thing last year, but there was a song that I really liked amongst all that. This
Yeah.
one, yeah, I agree. I think Basha has the best of the 5. Like, it's probably has the best production going on. The composition is a bit better than the others. Let's say the other three female singers, they're all British lagery, and yeah, they all cancel each other out. And then you have the twins with the song that's well, it's got its uniqueness about it, but I think Sasha has this in a canter. How this would go at Eurovision, I don't know. It's not a standout of a song for Eurovision, but for song with Kepman, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually really like this, and I have really liked it since the first time I heard it. I think, as you say, it's got a groove. It's sort of both incorporating the sort of cowboy yeehaw elements, but there's also a Middle Eastern element there too. I think the sort of beat that you hear in that bridge is quite common in a lot of Arabic pop music, and I think the sort of fusion of those two things isn't something you'd expect to hear in this context, but it really works. Also, credit to the guy for like presumably learning his lyrics phonetically to be able to sing it in Icelandic in the semi-final. That's really hard. And from what I can tell, and from the Icelandic people I've seen in the comments online, he did a reasonable job. He could be understood, and he was able to spit his words out. So
I was impressed when I watched it. I thought, wow, he can do Icelandic, and I was amazed and pulled it off. And yeah, he's in the final. But yeah, it was a really good performance, I thought.
yeah, and I think the other thing is like this is a song that feels quite personal to him. I urge you if you haven't already to watch the video because I think a lot of people who didn't really get this song then watched the music video he's released and it really clicked for them because it's very much yes he's using the cowboy organography but that's not all that's going on here. This is a song about his experience as an artist, his experience going to Eurovision. I think it's very literally about him going to Eurovision and him performing on this big Western stage. And I think that once he makes it, as I am expecting him to win this, once he makes it to Eurovision, I think this is going to be a moment, both because of the symbolism of him just being there, but also the song, I think, adds to that. Lyrically, it has moments that you can see, the news will pick it up. It's going to be in the headlines. And frankly, I can also see it's the sort of song where I can also see those sort of Eurovision academics, shout out to Catherine Baker, shout out to Zoe J. I'm looking forward to reading your essay on this because I think there's a song here that's going to be spoken about for a long time to come. So good job, Bashar. I'm really excited to see what you deliver on Sunday. But he's not the only artist in this national final. We have, I think, no less than three sort of Schlager mums. You've got Hera Bjork, the Queen, we've got Sigga Osk, and we have Anita, all delivering their sort of upbeat pop numbers. Now, guys, they are sort of all in the same lane, similar lanes. I want you to name for me who's your favorite of the three and why. Fleur, let's kick off with you this time.
Oh, Hera Burke, definitely. She is a queen. She can perform. She can sing the phone book, and I'll be dancing to it. Let's be honest. There's something about her that even this song, it's not a great song, but I don't know. She does something with it. I don't think the others could. Yeah, it's a very basic song, but then again, so many other songs. So but yeah, there's some sort of magic she performs, and she's on stage. She just lights it up, basically, just her presence.
I adore that woman. I would die for Hera Bjork. Hayley, what's your favorite of the three?
I'd have to say Hera as well. She's obviously a professional, and she just comes alive on stage, and she's just so charismatic, and she's done it before, so I think that really, really works in her favor.
Yeah, and even when she's not been the act, she often shows up as a backing singer for the Icelandic acts at Eurovision, and so like she is a consummate professional, and she just does her job really well. And Hera Bjork stand here, sorry. Liv, are you going to change the tune here, or are you also on the Hera train?
Yeah, I just want to be a little contrarian here for a moment. For me, that song is just so vaguely inspirational and generic. And she kind of just nibbled. This wasn't a full serve. I wasn't like yes queening. It was for me just kind of mid.
I was,
anyway,
Liv. I was.
I'm going to move on to the best female, Sigga, who is just like ice princess. And like, I was kind of obsessed with like this just totally generic Norse bright pop sound. For me, I'll just always eat up that stuff. And she got like a big whistle note in there. Like, girl, it's just inoffensive. It's fun. And I kind of just like this Barbie ice princess moment.
Well, Barbie or Tiffany, as she keeps talking about. I kind of wanted to keep the Icelandic lyrics, because singing particularly has quite a fun translation. However, I adore Hera Bjork. This is going to unashamedly be in my top 10 national final songs come the end of the season. It is dated. It is like a little embarrassing. She is having a good time, and I love this. Um, Favorite moments in particular, the slow motion swish of the train about halfway through. Incredible. And in particular, the bit at the start where they sort of do this close up on her face, and it gets to the first chorus, and they're building and they're building and they're building, and then it hits the first chorus, and it cuts to an empty stage for like a good 5 to 8 seconds where absolutely nothing is happening. The camera work, not sure what's going on, but I love it. And in any other year, I think Bashar has this. I want to see Bashar at Eurovision. I love Harry Bjork, and I wanted to come back every year, and I wanted to go to Eurovision at least once every 3 years for the next decade. Hera, I love you.
Hera, I hope you're watching. But
Sorry, Hera.
I was going to say, Liv, you said princess, but Hera is the queen.
One last
Whatever.
question on Iceland. I think I know what the answer to this question is going to be, but who do you see taking out some of the captain and going to Eurovision for Iceland this year? Hayley,
Bashar.
Fleur,
Basha.
Liv,
Yeehaw, Wild West, baby.
agree. I think it would be a massive upset to see anyone else.
Yep.
But we've had a lot of upsets this year. But I think there's a lot of journalists probably hoping that Bashar wins so they can type out their columns for the next few months as well. That's enough on Iceland. Let's have a quick chat about Melfest. Now, we haven't chatted about Melfest this year, and some might say that's for a reason. It's not been the most impressive Melfest of our lifetimes, I don't think. But I think having heard the clips drop in the last day or so for the final semi-final, I think we might finally have a few things to nibble on. So looking ahead to the final semi-final that's coming up this weekend, guys, what are your thoughts? Who do you see advancing out of the 6 songs in this last semi-final? Liv.
Well, I think Marcus and Martinez are gonna straight into another final.
Yeah, like this one it's the same song as last year, let's be clear. Like they barely sort of rinsed and repeated, like it's just sort of repeated. But yeah, it does leap out of the 6. What about you, Fleur?
Yeah, other than Marcus and Martinez, we know the Swedes love Medina no matter what, so they're going through as well.
Yeah, Swedes love a big Medina football anthem, and this is a big Medina football album. Hayley.
Look, this is really hard because I haven't been watching Melfest at all this year. I kind of wait to the end until all the acts are in, so it's quite hard. But I do agree with you. Marcus and Martinez does sound like last year's song, which came second. So I think they will go straight through. Now, I was listening to the other songs today. Now, there is a country song there as well, Jay Smith, and I just wonder if maybe people need a bit of a break from all the pop and might choose something different from that song.
Interesting that you mentioned that one. That one did leap out to me for a couple of reasons. One, I understand Jay Smith is like a former Idol winner in Sweden who's sort of been away from the scene for like years and years, and this is his big comeback. And so there's a potential for like a narrative there, I guess, if he makes it through. But also, I agree, country's back. Like, Fast Car is in the charts. Fast Car's on the radio. Luke Combs is everyone's favorite singer now. And so, like, I could see this maybe doing something. It feels like it's timed right for this sort of genre to do well. So yeah, I also have half an eye on that one. I agree, Hayley. Now this weekend also we have the second chance round. This isn't Andres Johnson anymore. Now we have sort of all 10, second chance attendees are in the bucket together, and they're all going to get voted for on the night. And out of that, 2 are going to advance. So just to quickly recap on who those the 8 we have so far. It is Adam Woods, Elisa Lindström, Dia Sarah, Fröken Snusk, Cloudy, Gunilla Persson, Albin Tingwell, and Scarlett. And then 2 more from the last one this weekend will join them. Now, out of those 8 that we have so far, who do you think has a chance of making the final out of that sort of bizarre second chance round, whatever's going on there? Hayley.
I'm going to say Gunilla. I don't know if it's because of what I follow on Facebook and social media, but she seems to be popping up a lot. So I I think, yeah, maybe, women of a certain age, I don't know, but she's popping up a lot. And I think there's a bit of sort of love for her and some of those lyrics are pretty funny. So I'd like to see her go through. I want varied.
Yeah, I wonder if the reason she shows up on your Facebook feed is because of me just resharing that clip.
Yeah, actually might be your Facebook. Sorry.
I adore Vanilla. I'm here for the sort of campy songs in this year's Melfest, and she's one of the best. Liv, what about you? Is it Vanilla for you or someone else?
Well, I absolutely adore her, but I'm going to be behind Fruken Snoosk. I love horses, so it's a great entry for me. And it's kind of just like folk crack, schlager, pop. It's really weird, but like in a good way. And also the views on that are kind of insane. So clearly the Swedes are enjoying it too, not just me.
I'm enjoying this. This is actually in my top 10 most listened songs for the last month. I'm obsessed with it. I believe the genre is called Epadunk, and it's some sort of combination of horse stuff and EDM and like Swedish like folk music, but it's big with the youth in Sweden, is my understanding. And so Fröken is a big name. She's got a #1 out of this. And it's been a #1 pretty much since the song dropped immediately after the semi-final. So yeah, I think there's a good shot there. Fleur.
Yeah, I like Vanilla too. I don't know. There's something. I love those little songs where they're kind of, popping themselves up. It reminds me of that French song, Pauline.
Yeah. Or it's giving you a little bit Renarama Ding Dong, isn't it?
Yeah. The harp, Pauline with the harp from
Oh, Pauline Shine. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of like those sort of songs, where they're sort of But I mean, Scarlet. I just want something weird in there. Come on. I mean, just make it interesting. It's not the best Melfest ever. Just pop something completely random and out there.
And it's not like they have to qualify.
That's right.
This is true. I think this is the year to send something like that. I think ultimately there's a few acts that might be able to do that, but I'm hoping that this might be that they sort of let loose and try something a bit different. I think one other thing to notice about the second chance round is that for the second chance round, I understand that the sort of age bracket voting system that they use at Melfest is not being used, and so it's done purely on number of votes. And so I think that gives an advantage possibly to people like Fröken Snusk or Gunilla, who have been these sort of viral hits in Sweden and have a lot of views, even if their votes are coming from a younger demographic, for example, that is enough to get them through the second chance round. Whereas in the actual semi-final, they might well have had the most votes, but if they didn't have the votes coming from the 75-year-olds in northern Sweden, then they weren't making the final. So this might be the chance to try and get something a little bit more unusual in the mix. But last question before we finish up for the evening. Who do we see being the host entry for Sweden? We've heard all the entries now. We've heard at least a little bit of the last one. But you don't need to say much about it. But who do you think is going to be flying the Swedish flag come May? Liv.
I'm still with Fröken Snusk here. I think it's going to be the first second chance in. I know the pronunciation's awful. First second chance entry in a long time to do really well and actually win.
I would love that. I'm so glad you said that. That would make me so happy. Hayley.
Look, I'm going to say Marcus and Martinez because it's a copy of last year's song and they came second. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus and Martinez probably would have won last year if it wasn't for Loreen. There's no Loreen this year. It seems like a reasonable sort of proposition. Fleur.
I'm going to bring up the name of Ria Sua. I think she was a chance last year, but I think this year she has a better song. And yep, I quite like the song, to be honest. It's one of the few songs I actually like this year. So yeah, why not give it to her?
I agree. I think that one actually does stand out now that she's not singing about standing in the rain, standing in Bahrain, whatever it was. But Maria Su's done a really good job. I am going to say I think Marcus and Martinez have a shot. I think Medina has a shot with their big sort of football album. And again, I keep saying album, anthem. And again, I think that would actually be a really good host entry if they did make it to Sweden. But you know what? I'm going to go with Liv. Now that Liv said it, I'm manifesting that Fröken Snusk is going to make it to Malmö because I want it to happen. I don't know if it actually will, but I want it so much. I've never wanted someone to win Melfest this much. So I am hoping that we see Fleur and Smish pick up the trophy, and I really hope that Loreen comes out and has to hand the trophy to the lady in the pink balaclava at the end of the night.
I'm surprised you didn't say
'cause-
Ganilla.
No, Flurkin has legitimately been at the top of my listening list for the last month, so I would be delighted to see that happen. Now, guys, it's been a long video, but thank you so much for your time. We're so excited to see how this last couple of weeks of national final season is going. Things are very much starting to click into place. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with us? Do you not? Please don't yell at us. But if you have other opinions, we'd love to hear them. Anyway, thanks for your time tonight, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.